I would offer into evidence the design guidelines, design guidelines for the St. Genevieve National Register Historic District. This is the nomination. It looks like it's in bad condition. It just gets, because it gets used, and it gives descriptions of each house that is contributing, non-contributing in the register district. So I would introduce that, and the municipal code of the city of St. Genevieve, as well as my staff reports and accompanying documents. So if somebody could move to accept the evidence, I would appreciate it.
I move that we accept the evidence.
I'll second.
Okay.
I guess all in favor?
Yes.
Got a motion in 2 seconds.
I know. Motion in 2 seconds, okay, great. So we'll just move right into the Robert Street item.
Can I
Yes.
see that?
Is it, how do you pronounce your last name? I know-
Cazares.
Cazares. Would like to install on her Craftsman Bungalow a 29 gauge metal roof to replace the existing and leaking, I'm sorry it's raining today, asphalt shingle roof. The house is contributing to the district. It was done in about 1925. The house is clad in, I believe, vinyl, or is it, it's not wood lap siding, correct?
No,
It's vinyl
it's vinyl
siding, and
siding.
it looks to have new windows. Under the guidelines, when you look at a Craftsman Bungalow, it's interesting, because I did some research trying to figure out what the typical roof materials were for a Craftsman Bungalow, and interestingly enough, it usually is, they don't talk about that. They talk more about the shape of the roof, and rather than what the materials are. So I thought that was interesting, and I gave you all materials to what I could find on Craftsman Bungalows in short order. But then we have H17 that does say, talk about metal roofs, and does talk about shake or shingle roofs for a Craftsman Bungalow, but I don't believe there's even one Craftsman Bungalow in St. Genevieve that has cedar shake or wooden shingles. So I didn't feel necessarily compelled to live by that particular rule when I made the recommendation. And I did make a recommendation that you all adopt or approve the certificate of appropriateness for a couple of reasons. One is the literature is kind of absent on what the roof material should be, and it's not prevalent in St. Genevieve, and the house has already undergone such significant changes that very little of its original architecture can be seen. So requiring a shake or shingle roof seemed to be onerous to me. I recommended approval, but I'll leave that up to you all to discuss. That's my report on that particular project. Ms. Cazares is here to answer questions.
I have a question regarding, this is not a standing seam, so how does that work? And I didn't see something.
I don't say, maybe in his paperwork, he might have explained.
Yeah, attached is the materials that he
I
said.
think that's one of the things that is objectionable sometimes to this type of roofing, it's external through the fastener comes through the external. We're in a good standing seam roof that is hidden and protected so that it is not a source of a leak. Now, they take all kinds of precautions to keep it from leaking. They put all kinds of washers on the fasteners. Those get brittle and break. That can. This seems to be a better product than many of the just straight barn roofs that you see. It does have, the other problem with them is that at the eaves, if you get a roof coming down here facing, say, north, and you get a strong north wind, it'll blow it right up in the bottom because there's no seal at the eave. Now, this roof seems to have a seal. I mean, it can have a seal. I think that's one thing that you should insist on as an owner, is to make sure that where it comes down to the edge of the roof at the same,
Right.
make sure there's a good seal down there, that the wind doesn't blow that water right back up in, because you get a strong storm, and it's amazing how far the water can go up and how
Oh,
much your
absolutely.
interior ceilings it can destroy.
I did, I made sure that when we did the contract that basically all of the ends, end pieces where the dormers and the eaves are, all that will be kept. All that's gonna be enclosed, so you won't be able to see up under it. And he's,
Here's the original materials, and he's marked all the.
he's talked about, he's laying one bias down and then putting the roof on top of that. So it won't actually lay up against the board, it's gonna lay up against the one bias. And he said that also will help with the efficiency. Which was another reason why we went this way is, you know, my average, we don't have central air upstairs. I don't know if I told you that in that paperwork or not, but we don't have central air upstairs. And so anytime you go in during the summer, I mean, my upstairs temperature could be anywhere from 90 to 120. I mean, it's extremely hot, and I've got 2 kids that sleep upstairs, and we have to do window units all the time, which obviously, over time of having window units in the window, it weighs on it, on the frame of the window. And so the less we can use those, the better. And when we talked about this, then the energy efficiency of it, it was gonna help with keeping it a little bit cooler up there as well.
Isn't that
So-
typically because they put some sort of non-reflective, it's a non-reflective metal, so it's not like having a black top roof, it's almost like having a white roof,
Right.
which can be really significant in difference in your heating and cooling bills. I don't know.
I don't know what the finish is on this,
Absolutely.
but, your question, you still have a question on that?
What the difference is. The standing seam, the part that, they're panels, and then they have a seam in them, and then there's a cap over the seam, so there's
Okay.
actually no
The
penetration.
cap is, it's not, there's nothing coming down through the roof.
No, I know,
It's-
it's over the
it's
top
underneath.
of the seam, right, right.
Okay.
But there's no penetration
It's like
of
if
the
it came
membrane
together.
underneath, right?
Over top of this.
That's the difference, is there's no
The fastener doesn't go
Go
all the way
in.
from the
roof.
No, it doesn't go from
Through the
behind,
sheeting.
you
Right.
don't drive a nail or put a screw
Right.
through the peak.
Okay.
This roof will, I believe,
Mhm.
but,
Got
I
it.
think for the age, given the age of the house, that it is a fairly new house. And, I don't think, unless unless you have literature that says this particular house has to have wooden shingles, I don't think most of them would have had wooden shingles.
I'm just reading from our
but I-
guidelines, that's all. I mean,
The only thing I noticed, was that none of the other ones around there have it, and it's right across the street from that historic home.
It is, it is.
And I didn't know if it would look too different. I think the 29 gauge is important, that'll, because that's stronger, but, it doesn't, I don't know. It looks like a standing seam, but not really. You know how it's,
it still has that,
yeah.
you know.
So, I mean, I can see either way, but the only thing I worry about is that other house is right there.
It looks more like barn siding than standing seam. But I don't, that's one thing, I never see any literature for this roof, and it's being used around town quite a bit. I never see any literature that's recommending it for residential properties. It's usually for sheds.
That, I don't know.
It says, I mean, in this metal roof detail article, it does say standing seam roofs are generally made from thicker grades of steel than corrugated steel roofs. I don't think this is a corrugated steel roof.
No.
But then it said, while many corrugated steel roofs are made with very thin 29 gauge steel, a minimum of 26 is used. Let's see, a 24-22 gauge can also be used for residential and commercial styles. So, I mean, I think that at least according to what I could find quickly on the internet, which is probably not the greatest source, was that this is now used on residential as well as commercial type structures and sheds in that. I mean, have you seen his work?
Oh, yeah, he's
Okay.
got it on his own house. Yeah, and I've been out to his house. He's having it on his own home.
I think we need to deal with this one
Mhm.
as it is, but I do think we need to make some serious decisions as to how, because tin roofs are coming in, I mean, metal roofs are coming in town because they're reasonably priced. Some of them are good and some of them are terrible. And, on the age of the house matters too. If it's a very, very old house, then you probably need to go to wood shakes. But certainly
1929.
not in the age of this house. And I don't know what the cutoff is, it's something, it would, with our knowledge, we'd probably have to make an arbitrary decision because we couldn't get a good, reliable.
Yeah, we can inquire.
Yeah,
But
we
it
could
would
have,
be-
with
it
a
would
little
be
bit more time,
somewhere-
I think I
It would
could
be
have.
somewhere in the 1850s, probably, back, something like that. Because I think in that period in St. Genevieve, I have been told, I have not seen it or read it, but I've been told there was an ordinance that required metal roofs. That came in fairly late, probably mid-century. It was a fire protection measure.
Is the requirement for a wood roof a functional issue or?
No, it's
It's
what was
architectural.
available when the early ones were
I
built.
mean, when you're
It's a
saying, at some
I'm s-
point, we should be requiring a wooden roof, shingle or shake.
Early, very early.
That's for architectural consistency, it's not a functional issue.
Yes.
I would say that one of the things that I read, and I think I provided to you, was out of the American Field Guide, is talking about this style of house, the Craftsman Bungalow, was kind of an interesting exercise in American architecture in that the style was meant to be for the you and me, the common folks, but craftspeople, but that they did end up using a lot of detail, which ended up driving the price of the houses up. And so it was kind of a dilemma between the size of the house and how much detail they would put into houses. And I think that was kind of an interesting point. And so it's not surprising that a lot of these houses have lost those details because they are very expensive to replace, and finding even artisans to do some of that work is hard. But this house, the porch is enclosed now, and it's got a metal column. The only things that are left are the corbels that kind of look like they're supporting the roof, and it doesn't bear as much resemblance to what you would consider a Craftsman Bungalow either at this point. So.
Peter, I came in a little late, but, what does the guidelines say as far as the appropriate material to put on this house?
Well, it says, for a Craftsman Bungalow, it says maintain the character defining feature of a Craftsman Bungalow. For a Craftsman Bungalow, a rehabilitation project should preserve these character defining elements. Roof. Low-pitched gable roof with gable dormers that follow the line of the roof. Does not say anything about materials.
Okay,
The next one says architectural detailing. Wide eaves, exposed rafter ends, anything to evoke the structural composition of the building, prominent lintels and sills. And then it says building exterior. Doesn't say roof, it says building exterior. Wooden shingles or shakes, cobblestone, brick, or woodlap siding, concrete, brick, or stone foundation. The reference to wooden shingles or shakes could be for the siding. A reference to the siding, not necessarily the roof, but it's not uber clear. Like I said, I would be hard pressed to point out a 1925 bungalow in St. Genevieve that had wood shakes or shingles.
okay, so you're saying that it doesn't say what type of roof goes on there?
No, it does not.
Okay, so shingles, shakes, metal is our appropriate roof, right? That is
Yes.
being used.
It does say in H17, a new metal roof should be applied in detail in a manner that is compatible with the historic character and does not distract from the historic appearance of the building. Metal roofing should be appropriate for the building style and period. Metal roofs material should have no matte, no reflective finish. I would think not bright silver. Seams should be low profile. The edges should be finished similar to those seen historically, simply bent down at the edges with a very slight overhang. So it does, the guidelines do acknowledge the whole metal roof
Mhm.
phenomenon. It doesn't say it has to be a standing seam roof. So,
Well, I wouldn't try to force a standing seam on it either, because in my mind, it's either something similar to this or the replacement of
the asphalt
opposition
shingles.
shingles, yeah.
And my only thing, like I said, was because the other houses around there have the standard shingles on it, and it is across the street
From
from
the,
this.
is that the Papin, which house
Yes,
is the
the
Papin
Papin.
house?
Yeah.
Papin house?
That's the only thing.
Okay.
And on that corner where the Papin house is, you know, his front door looks towards Fourth Street, and his driveway comes out, and almost like comes into my driveway, back straight out. And then, so 3 houses down this way, there is one that actually has this roof on it. It's the
Is it in the
big-
300 block?
The big,
Okay.
brick one,
Mhm.
2-story right there on the corner. Yeah, and my thing is, you know, when I drove around and I was looking, cause I was trying to figure out what I'm even buying, you know, I wanna see. And there's like 15 within a 1 block radius of everywhere I'm at. There's 15 of them that have the metal roofs, different colors, you know, different seams, different things. And I thought, you know, gosh, you don't really notice until you're actually in the market to buy one, how many people do have this. And when I started looking at the pros and the cons of it, it really did, it was, you know, the longevity of this roof versus, you know, asphalt shingles. I mean, it's just, I'll never replace it again, you know, I mean, as long as I live. So I thought, you know, based on what you all had to say, I mean, that's where my heart's at, is just putting my money, I mean, we're a hardworking, you know, middle-class family, there's not a lot of abundance of money that I feel like in 10 years, we're gonna be able to do this again, or 15 years. This roof is not that old, it's only 7 years old, and it literally, all the eaves around my house have fallen. And you can see, yeah, was that you that just drove on my house? Okay. What's that?
Good for you, Jamie.
Like soccer? No, I'm just kidding. But I
I'm
was
the
like-
one that was taking pictures, she's the one that just drove and
Okay.
stared at it.
So, yeah, you know, and my thing is, and you can even see in the front of your house in the top eve, where it basically came to a V. It has, what we think is broken and fallen. And
Yeah,
then
at the front,
Mhm.
this right here,
you can see it right here.
it's just like bent.
Yeah, I thought maybe that was
Yeah.
something that was
No, it's
meant to
like-
be there.
No.
So how do the shingles contribute to that?
Well, basically it was just the weight of the snow and the ice damming that had happened
It
around
looks
my
like it
home.
was wet, and it.
Because really, asphalt shingles should last 30 years. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
good,
25.
yeah, 25, 30
It
years.
looks like whatever under it is dilapidated in some
Well,
way.
then it may be because of water getting through, you see.
Mhm.
And when the adjuster came in, he actually looked and, you know, that room that's right here where you see the window, everything I think in his unit is built into walls, so the drawers of her room are built into that wall. So we pulled a couple of those out, and he got his head in there, and he actually looked, he's like, your wood's not rotten. He was like, but the weight has basically.
You're gonna be doing some structural
Okay.
improvements as well.
Oh, yeah, so, whatever it is, and so part of that in the contract, in the agreement with the insurance as well, was that all of this has to be jacked back up and replaced and brought back to, you know, flush. None of it can be drooping anymore, so all that's gonna be fixed.
I would caution you on one thing though, the metal roof is not totally maintenance-free.
Right.
I mean, once that initial coat starts to rust, and it will, then every few years you have to put another coat of paint on it.
Absolutely.
And there is a cost involved, but it's much less than replacing a roof.
And I happen to have a roof like yours,
See?
that you're considering. And the neoprene or rubber washers that are there will deteriorate over time. I just have them all replaced.
How is it like to repair? Whenever you sand it, like we have this as a ceiling in our garage, but we don't have it on a roof. Like what happens if you step on it? You know, to repair it, does it bend?
Probably.
I don't go up,
Oh, okay.
It's against my religion. Higher
It'll be
than
against
6
my
feet
religion.
off the ground.
Yeah, I think it's rigid enough, well, I don't know what gauge metal we do it.
It's 29.
He just walked.
It's flush, it's flush
I think there's.
to the deck and rigid enough you can walk on it.
Well, that one bys would probably help.
Right,
with
and
that
the one
too.
by's there so that you can walk on it.
I
and
mean,
also-
clay tile roofs you can't walk on either, you know, but that's, and they're not meant to be walked on.
Yeah.
But they do, I mean, they will damage if a tree limb falls on them and, you know, or they will bend.
Right, and, we're putting I don't know what else to call it besides an icebreaker, snow catcher type things on it as well to help catch that, yeah. And we're gonna, put 6-inch, gutters on it to help with that, the slide of the snow and the water.
Well, considering everything, I feel like I'd like to make a motion to approve it. I mean, with all the other changes, I mean, the bungalow has lost the deep sills. And I only noticed, the wood on the very front of the house that comes out from the gable as a detail.
I don't know, you for sure you didn't.
I did not, I did,
Yeah.
all your pictures didn't download,
Yeah,
I
so
don't
I.
ever walk on the.
I know.
Yeah, no, it's a good policy.
I'm afraid somebody will shoot.
The same things. are coming
Anyway,
up.
I'd like to make a motion to approve it.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Right?
I will second it.
It's been seconded.
Been seconded.
Oh, it's seconded?
Yeah.
Good, good, good.
Moving right along.
Is, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nobody? Okay,
Sorry,
great.
I just
No,
wanted to
you're
make
all
sure.
We
No,
get
and
you
I
a
appreciate it so
certif-
much.
Yeah, I mean, there's a wealth of knowledge here, and they just want you to, you know, I mean, like, not get snookered or.
No, you know, and
You
last
know,
time I was
they
here
can
with
give you good
Jimmy and,
information.
you know, we were doing the pool and the deck, I don't know if you remember that last
do.
year, yeah, I mean, I'll follow whatever rules you have, I'm not trying to break any rules or bend
No,
any.
No, we
because-
appreciate you coming in and doing
Yeah.
it.
Honestly, there's some other houses that are not as far gone as your, I mean, I know somebody that used to live in that house.
And we
Oh,
do,
really?
we
They
do
replace
have
things, they replace
information,
things.
if you ever wanna see what those houses look like. I actually have pictures of what the bungalows look like initially.
That's so funny, cause I sit there going, what's that bungalow look like? I don't
It-
know, 'cause
They're
like-
really cool, there's a lot of detail, and it doesn't take
They
a
are
lot
cool.
to really change maybe the look of the house, to take it back
No,
a little bit.
when they're well maintained,
Maintained,
it
yeah.
can be a
They're
real
cute.
asset to a community.
So if you'd like to come in, I can show you pictures of what they look like in St. Genevieve.
Okay, that'd be
Okay.
awesome, yeah. You know, because there's other things, like my foundation's exposed, and they make that new faux stone kind of look, and I was thinking, I wonder if I could put that up. So there, I have other things that maybe in the future I might look at doing, so I'm gonna come in and do that and see what, I don't know, I'm just trying to make it nice.
Oh, good for you.
Here's some cute.
Yeah, there's some pictures.
Yeah, like, see how like these,
But I do think you
So,
know, meeting.
We should talk about
that's like a
Try to get a
characteristic
little
how those woods
better
sticks out, that's why I was staring up
outline
there
of
to
what
see.
we want to.
Well, we
That's how
want
I
to have
noticed it was
a
dipped
mini
down.
retreat, and we were waiting
But
until you
how the
were
colors
feeling
and
better to have one where we go through the guidelines and we can talk about these issues ahead of time.
Yeah, now it's
In the middle of
like
like this topic of discussion.
So this, boy, this is gonna come up very frequently.
Yes, I think
Because
so.
you just drive
It's
around
not
town, you
cheap,
can
this
see
roof
them.
that she's
So
getting
I
is not a
mean,
cheap roof.
And some of them are well done, and some of them are going to
Well,
be.
We'll see how it goes for her.
Big, huge wood trim on the doors,
Okay.
all that, and like, we're leaving all that, we're fixing all that and cleaning it up and all
But
that.
that's kind of some characteristics that are typical.
That's really pretty.
Yeah, and it's just a little bit of a change, you know?
Okay, let's move on
Thank
to,
you.
yeah, thank you very much.
Do I need to stick around?
No, you
Okay.
don't. I'll send you your certificate of appropriateness and a blue placard to put on in your window.
Okay.
So that everybody knows that you went through this process.
Do you know about how long they're wanting to
I'll
start
get it out tomorrow.
Okay.
You're good to go, regardless of whether you actually have the paperwork or not.
Okay, or if
Okay.
you want me to come by and get it and say it's
Whatever,
postage,
that'd be
I can do
fine.
that too.
That'd be fine, and I can give you that other information on the Craftsman.
Okay, that sounds
Okay.
great, and then if you just wanna call me, I'll come right back and do it,
Okay.
I won't bother you.
Okay, oh, no, that's
And you
fine.
want me to take this, or you just gonna?
Here, I'm gonna give you this too, because this actually is a really great, this is the Bible. Actually, this is the house I was gonna show you. This is what they used to look like, and here's a whole description of what they look like,
Okay.
okay?
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Take care, thank you.
Okay,
Jen.
uh-huh.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we have 399 Washington. This is the house that sits at the corner of Washington and Fourth. they have a picket fence that runs from the front southerly, southeast corner of their house that runs down the hill. They actually also own the mobile home that is on the next lot over, and they would like to put up a privacy fence along there. I doubt that picket fence is original, since the house is from 1900. I doubt that. And they would like to put up, because that intersection's kind of busy, they'd like to be able to contain their kids in the yard, without people seeing the kids.
I can see why they would want the fence, I would have no
Scary there.
objections,
I know.
except that it is fully visible from Washington.
It is.
And normally we don't go beyond 4 foot high where the fence is fully visible.
It's kind of odd because their driveway actually is on the back side of the house and comes out fourth. So they don't really use that as a front door.
What I find out is that the kids are always playing on the other.
Other side of the fence.
Not in the
And they
fence.
shouldn't have too many kids over 4 feet tall, probably.
Yeah. I don't. To me, this is like the side of a rear fence, and we've approved 6-foot fences before, so it doesn't really. If she was going around the perimeter of the actual lot,
Well, when I
it
drove,
would be different. I don't know if you
On
can
it.
see it on where it's gonna be.
the 4-foot fence doesn't look 4 foot. I don't know if it's because it's so far away
Mhm.
from Washington.
Are you
But,
talking about the one at Second Street? The one that we approved, the one that was supposed to be
No, I'm
big
talking
enough?
about
Oh,
this
this one. Oh, okay.
like whenever you're on 4th Street and you're driving towards the house and you're looking at the front of it, it doesn't seem like it's 4 foot tall. And I don't know if it's because it kind of sets down and you're looking down on it.
I don't know that
But
I
I'm
thought it
also
was
sure-
4 foot tall.
Well, I assumed it was because it was a picket fence
Oh, okay.
and then they're supposed to be 4 foot tall.
Well,
Well.
that exceed 4 foot.
Oh,
They
not
are,
exceed
yeah.
4 feet. Well, it seems really tiny to me. I mean, and if it was mine, I mean, I can see in there, hold up.
Right.
I don't have like a.
Originally, she was gonna go all the way around the mobile
Small
home
car.
too. But she doesn't even wanna replace there's pickets on the house. There's even pickets that go along here, but she's just really wanting to block the view basically from Washington. You know how busy that intersection is, cause that big hill. Right there, it doesn't have a stop sign, so that's all that she's requesting, is just that one stretch down the hill.
I believe we should approve the fence, although I believe it should be 4 feet.
You making a motion?
Yeah, I approve the 4 foot fence.
You'll make a motion to approve a 4-foot fence?
Yes.
Isn't that what it's supposed to be in the front of the house?
Well, like I said, I don't consider that, if we were the last fence we did on Memorial, the sides and then it went back, those were all 6 feet.
But it didn't come from the front line of the house.
Well, so you're talking, oh, because it,
Here's
Yeah.
here's the front of it, like the front porch, and it's coming back from here. Yeah.
but if she were doing a whole rear
Only
yard,
point, in essence, to the side yard.
yeah, to the side yard, yeah.
The side yard is their backyard.
Yeah, the side yard is their backyard.
But this is, they don't own this, they own all this?
Yes,
Yes.
actually, they
This-
own all of
This is
this,
what they wanna make 6 foot, and they're gonna leave this, whatever it is.
that picket.
So coming out from the side of the house.
Mhm.
That
It's
makes
not
sense.
really a front, it's not really a front yard, it's not like it's on the perimeter of the front yard, it's really,
I recognize that, but
Yeah.
it is fully visible from
Yes.
the street.
so 4-foot, your motion is to approve a 4-foot privacy fence,
Design
rather than-
guidelines.
give them, then they can make a recommendation, they
I
can,
remember the design guidelines were vague on
Side.
fences except in front of houses, where they put it specific.
Well, yeah. I just.
It doesn't really, it just says, solid stockade fences do not allow views into front yards, are inappropriate, but this is not really,
But side and rear yard, there's not much guidance.
it says a fence that defines a front yard or a side yard on a corner lot is usually low to the ground and transparent in nature, i.e. the
Just
picket.
better See, and that's right at the front line of the
Mhm.
house, that's the thing that gets us.
It was hard to get a good picture. A fence should not exceed 4 feet in height. I think you're right on in terms of what the guideline actually says. If it's a side yard and it should be low, I don't know that they would be unhappy with that.
I would second that motion.
Okay. All in favor?
Okay.
Great. I will explain to her. It's fine, it just needs to be only 4 foot, which I think is what is around that house at Second Street.
Mhm.
Doesn't matter, they can pick them up in the same, I put mine
Mm-hmm.
in the city,
Okay.
so they've got 8-foot sections, makes life easy.
Yeah. Okay, I will let her know. There's nothing out for tonight. I didn't, put anything else because I thought this is just a quick meeting since we had such a long time span between our last meeting and the regular meeting in April. But April 20th will be our next meeting. That's a Monday, it's third Monday of the month. And so everything else will come to you then. And then I want to get with you to see what your availability is for a mini retreat to go through the guidelines.
I'm, as far as my health's concerned, yeah, I'll go to the meeting, no problem.
Okay,
How long do I have to go?
I'll be in touch. I was
Yeah,
just waiting till he
Be
was.
in touch with my other schedule.
We have a motion. Oh, any public comments?
No.
Okay,
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
adjourn. Thank you. In favor? Yes.
Now that we're adjourned.